Hello and welcome to today's video where we go over patch 14.15 and determine which teams benefit the most and which teams are hurt the most by this patch. We look at champion pools of the players respectively and determine, whether their champion pools are going to be limited or expanded by a given patch. I do not get into the nitty gritty of whether a patch is effective or not, or we don't get into the stats of it all when it comes down to, this much attack damage difference or speed or mana or whatever the hell. And we don't look at other things like items and ruin changes. It's just simply champion pools, and we just look at how the champion pools may be affected by this patch towards these teams. So, the metrics to determine whether a team's been nerfed. It is if a champion is nerfed, according to Riot's patch notes, and the team or player has played at 8% of the games in Season 14. If it's a buff, if a player played a champion for 4% of games from Season 12 to now. These are the teams that are most affected. It's about 12 of the 45 major region teams. The team that's happiest are Mad Lion Koi. So Akali Yone both played by Mirwin this season and Frescowi this season, to the point where it's more than 4% of their games, which, they're not a ton of games there for them, so that's why the two rookies end up being buffed, but it is an option. They can flex Akali, they can flex Yone, and maybe that'll help them in season finals. LCS 100 Thieves. Akali and Yone both buffed. Quid plays both of those champions quite a bit. This includes Season 13 Summer and this year's numbers. And then Varus also buffed a pick by Meech. I understand that ADC changes have occurred on this patch, but Varus technically is under the buff category on the patch notes. My mistake. It's not Yone. I thought about it when I said it. I don't remember Mirwin or Frescowi playing Yone. I talked so confidently there, though, didn't I? Akali played by both, but Varus played by Mirwin and Supa. So that's the flex. Varus being played top lane by Mirwin. Rare Adam, Akali Yone both played by Vikla. Zhaoju not buffed. There were no jungle buffs really to be had. Skarner got a jungle buff and a lane nerf, but no one really plays it in the jungle, so that's a thing. In Lol Esports, major regions. So Akali Yone buffed for Vikla. Varus buffed for Asum. But Leona nerfed for Zhui. So Leona, one of the few nerfs on this patch that most players, I would say about 2/3 of supports, had played Leona quite a bit this split. NRG of the LCS. Yone buffed for Dokla and Varus for FBI. HLE. Akali Yone buffed for Zeka. We know Zeka is elite on those champions, so that is something to monitor. Varus buffed for Viper, but Viper also played quite a bit of Ezreal. So that is nerfed. Giant X, if they can get to season finals. It depends how well Carmine Corp does. Akali Yone, both buffed. Jackie's played both of those champions this season. Varus buffed for Patrick, but Patrick also played quite a bit of Ezreal. Gen G, the MSI winners, favorite for Worlds, I imagine. Yone buffed for Chovy, and Varus buffed for Pays. Not a big Leona team, not a big Ezreal team, Gen G. BDS, a unique pick. Cassiopeia, I believe, goes down as a buff. I know it's an adjustment, but I believe the numbers check out to more of a buff. Nuke plays quite a bit of Cassiopeia. I think there are only like 4 or 5 players total that met the criteria for a buff for Kaz. But these are the teams that are most affected. Teams that were +1 or between +1 and -1 were not included on the board. So some players it was washed out. Varus also buffed, and Ice plays quite a bit of Varus. Then we have the 4 teams that are sad. This patch hurts them. So Ultra Prime, not buffed by any of these changes, but they are nerfed. Qing Tian played quite a bit of Skarner this year. Even though Skarner has not been available for all the patches, it still meets the criteria of 8% of his games. That's how many games he played on it. And it's been nerfed for lane. I guess they changed his E or something to make his laning a little less powerful. Ezreal nerfed for Doggo, and Leona nerfed for Niket. LCS Immortals, Varus is buffed. Tactical plays quite a bit of Varus. However, Castle plays quite a bit of Skarner. Tactical also played Ezreal quite a bit, and Leona is an Ole champion. LCK Kwangdong Freaks, Yone buffed. That's a pick by Bulldog. But Bulldog also plays quite a bit of Aurelion Sol, one of a handful of players that met the criteria for the A-Sol nerfs. Ezreal for Leaper and Leona for Andal. And then lastly, LPL Team Wii, Ezreal and Leona both nerfed for Abel and Mark. So we'll see if Team Wii can get over the hump and get past those nerfs. Like I said, there are teams that aren't mentioned on here that were affected by this patch, but it ends up being between positive one and negative one. It wasn't as spread out as these teams are. These teams are on their own. And they're the most affected. Who are, based on the title, who's the most impacted by this patch? It's these teams. When 14-15 is done, I doubt, well, it wouldn't shock me if like LCK or LPL playoffs end up on 14-15. I'm sure LCS will if they play live patch. LEC, we'll see if they play 14-15 or 14-16 when we get to it. But after a patch is complete in the 4 major regions, like 14-13 is almost done now, I imagine LEC will play it out, and then I can make the 14.13 video. But we look back at the patch, look at the champions, and if the presence rates changed, and if that patch was effective. We have had a couple patches this year that were relatively placebo at best, as in they really didn't do jack shit. But there are, for more often than not, when I've done this, I would say easily 80% of the time, the patch does show differences. And even if there aren't many differences in the patches where I would say we're placebo, if you look over multiple, there are changes. It's just very slow and minimal. But there, I mean, we can see right now, based on champion selection, it is changing. And I expect 14-13 to see some change in relative to 14-12. As far as champion presence is concerned. So that's it for the video. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, like it. Subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter. Join the Discord. Become a YouTube supporter. And hope to see you again tomorrow.